Welcome to the Church Answers podcast. My name is Thom Rayner. Jess Rayner is not with me. Jess is actually on a vacation again, and we miss him. But I got someone that is really going to be there in his stead. Let me just go on and for those of you who have not met Mike Stadelmayer is the president of Church Growth Services. His organization has been a partner with Church Answers for years and years. Great partner, great relationship. And I'll just say it again and again. If there's any type of generosity, fundraising, capital needs that you have, debt retirement, working capital, I could go down the list. This is the organization to call because they are the premier organization in all things generosity for the churches. So Mike, welcome back.
Hey, it's great to be back and great to see you again. And sorry we're going to miss Jess, but we got a lot to talk about today anyway.
Well, you know what? Really, one person interviewing another kind of works really well. You know, you have to give two interviewing, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I'll dock his pay, but other than that, we'll be fine. Hey, before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor. And for those of you who haven't listened about this, our new sponsor is Wesley Biblical Seminary. If you don't know Wesley Biblical Seminary, go find out about them. They are an incredible organization that has all kinds of ways to get degrees. Certainly the online model is one of theirs, and it is one where you can get a bachelor's, you can get a master's, you can get a doctoral degree, you can get certificates. They've been around since 1974, but they are really setting the woods on fire right now. They're just having they're reaching some people that other seminaries and other institutions are not. So they're committed to the Word of God. They're equipping men and women called by God. They have all these programs. Go to Wesley Biblical Seminary, or just remember this: WBS, Wesley Biblical Seminary.edu. That's education. WBS.edu. We appreciate them. We appreciate the ministry we're having with them. And just to let you know, our partnership with them includes Church Answers University, which then can translate into as much as 1/4 of the hours toward a master's in Wesley Biblical Seminary. We'll talk about that more. Mike, what is going on in the world of church facilities? And let me talk with specificity, because this topic, I told you before we started pushing the record button, this is one that I have a lot of interest in. We're titling it, Should a Church Have Debt? Now, you can answer that directly, or probably it depends, that kind of answer. But let's just let you get an entree into this and tell us what's going on in the world of churches and indebtedness.
Yeah, Thom, I this really got birthed out of just the last couple months and conversations I've been having with churches. And I've talked with some churches, and they've leveraged debt. And it has just provided new ministry opportunities and explosive growth in addition to raising funds, and it kind of put them over the top. And one church I've been working with, they went from 750 to 1,600 in 2 months.
Wow.
Because they finally had the space, and they had the children's space for security and different things that they desperately needed because they were growing so rapidly. And so that can be a real accelerator sometimes in helping a church get to a place they can't get to without carrying some debt.
And let me interrupt you for clarity. This is a church that injected capital. They had their own fundraising, but they augmented it with debt. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So the answer to the question there, should a church have debt? This is a situation where it worked.
Yeah, it absolutely worked. And it helped to reach more people for Christ, helped expand ministries, help them do better ministry of what they were already doing, so much more. And that has just, continued. By the same token, I've had several churches where I've talked to where they allowed that debt to stay too long, and it became a burden on their general fund budget, on their emotional and culture of the church, and on helping them move forward. And in those cases, the debt became a negative. Because maybe it helped them, but 20 years later, they're still carrying that debt. And the
20 years of interest. My goodness.
20 years. Yeah. And it really starts affecting the culture. And I pastored a church that was in debt so far, and they were struggling with that debt payment because of some things that happened at the church, and it dramatically shifted that culture. And now they were in survival mode
Mm-hmm.
and not in kingdom-minded growth mode.
We're talking to Mike Stadelmayer, the president of Church Growth Services, the premier generosity fundraising capital fund organization and partner of Church Answers. And we're talking about, should a church have debt? Mike has given us two answers thus far, yes and no. And it really depends on the situation. Mike, there are three buckets of possible places a church could have money in very general terms. One is debt and building and all that goes into that. Another is personnel, and then another is what's left for ministry. So what I'm hearing from you is in those last two churches you talked about, hardly anything was left for ministry.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When I took over that church that was kind of underwater in debt, when I sat down and calculated out, they had 3% of their money left for ministry.
My goodness, you mean after personnel, debt, and buildings, there was 3% left?
And 10% tithe. Yep, that's exactly right. So we had to be really creative in our evangelism because there wasn't a dime to go towards it.
So how does that happen, Mike? I want to talk about the positive because I don't want our listeners and viewers to think this is all about the negative on debt. There can be some benefits to it, but how does it happen that a church carries debt for 20 years, and how did they get in that position? You don't have to talk about specificity of that church, as any church. What happens?
Yeah, multiple churches that I've talked to here recently where their debt served a purpose early on, but they failed to deal with it in a timely basis, and they let it just go and go. And then over time, things happen. So maybe there was a pastoral transition. Maybe over 10 years, they didn't have any major loss, but they lost 10 people a year. And so we're at 250 now that they're 150. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden now with 150 people, that debt becomes a big part of the church budget. A couple of them here recently when the interest rates changed and all of a sudden they had to refinance every 3 to 5 years. Now, all of a sudden they're spending $2, $3, $4 more a month, getting absolutely nothing out of their general fund, but servicing that debt because they let it just stay too long. And so if a church leader, if you're in debt and if in 3 to 5 years, you haven't started making considerable advancement in lowering that debt and you're just making minimum payments, you are playing with fire.
And let's just tell these pastors and other leaders what they should be looking at. They should be looking at how much do I owe? That's the principal amount. You may be making payments and you're thinking you're really knocking that thing out, but many times it's mostly interest and you're just staying in debt like you have been.
Right. That's why that debt can go for so long, because the vast majority of the early payments, just like a house mortgage and other things, the vast majority is going to interest only and a very minimal is going towards principal. And so if you don't do something to increase those payments in the early stages, that payment can just stay with you for a long, long time. And if circumstances change, even if you were well within boundaries when you first took on the debt, a pastor transition that doesn't go well, a church feud, like this one church, just incremental decreasing year after year, just 5 or 10 people. And all of a sudden 10 years later, and it's a 20-year note. Now you're underwater financially and you got 10 more years to go. If you let it stay too long, the opportunity for something to go wrong and it become a significant burden can really be significant. Then at some point you also figure out I'm spending $30,000 a month on my mortgage, both interest and principal, and you start figuring out what could I do in terms of staffing, new ministry initiatives, mission work, whatever it is, at $30,000 a month or whatever the payment is. But 25, $30,000 a month isn't unusual for a lot of churches.
That's a lot of money for most of them too, and many of them are not keeping up with the maintenance. So the deferred maintenance bill will be coming due as the interest builds up, or as the principal does not go down on these loans.
Yeah, as the uh, payment assumes more and more of that general fund budget, all of a sudden you're not fixing the doors, replacing the carpet, replacing those air conditioning units, fixing the parking lot, restriping it, all those things. Now your facility doesn't look great when your guests come, and that sends a message. And there's just so many domino effects that come from letting that debt stay too long, and really finding a way to accelerate and pay it off.
So let's do a scenario. Church Growth Services, led by Mike Stadelmayer, is going into a church, and they have called you. You get calls for, let's build a facility. Let's have some type of capital fundraising. You might have some other. You can tell us some of the other ways that you work with churches on the generosity initiative. But you come in there, and let's just use this example. A church feels like there is a need for maybe just a total major renovation. Their facility is not being used in the way that it could be optimally.
Right.
And they're going to find a design build firm, and they're going to, but they know they need funds. All right, Mike Stadelmayer, Church Growth Services, one of your reps comes in, and what kind of questions do you ask? And when I know that's a broad question, but specifically talking about debt, how do you get to the essence of that with these leaders?
Yeah, well, first of all, we look at their debt ratio compared to their their budget.
Okay.
Secondly, we look at,
are there standards, or are you just looking at it?
yeah, there are standards. Most Christian financial lenders would say if you get past 30%, you're overextended.
Is
To
that
me, that's
debt
even
or
an
debt and
expressive number.
facilities? Is that debt or debt and facilities? Like
That's debt.
just debt? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and to me, that's even overextended. But that's the industry standard.
And if that's 30, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but I want to be able to tell our clients this. That's 30. That 30% is a budget or total receipts, or what?
30% of general fund giving
General fund giving.
in terms of your payment. But again, like we said, those payments aren't reducing principal very much those first 5, 6, 7 years. And so you're paying mostly principal at that early stage.
Okay, so now they want to do this renovation, and the estimates have come in, and it's going to be $3 million. Where does debt come into play on this? Debt they have and debt they might get.
Yeah, at that point, they start limiting the debt they might get because of what they already have on the books, or it may be they can't even add any additional debt. So then they have to raise the money purely out of cash, through a generosity campaign. And sometimes that's doable, but we all know the cost of construction since the pandemic has risen so dramatically.
Totally.
I'm hearing $500-600 a square foot is not unusual. And so with the cost like that, even for a new project, a lot of times churches need to take debt on to get over the hump of that project. I get that because it can really accelerate growth when it's needed. But boy, if you let it stay too long, the next time you need a project, you're still carrying a lot of debt. You got a real inhibitor of being able to do what you're visioning and planning.
I want to come back to you and talk a little bit more about Church Growth Services. Hey, before we do, we want to say thank you to our partner in ministry, and they're called Upward Sports. If you have not heard about them, you need to, and you really need to start preparing for 2026. You need to look ahead and maybe think, what can they do? They go into the community with sports ministries. They've been around for a long time, but they've got all kind of momentum right now. They have sports. They have basketball, soccer, flag football, cheerleading, volleyball, baseball, running, and my favorite, pickleball. They got pickleball. They got all of these. It's time for you to sign up for your church to get involved, where you can reach your community through sports ministry. They take you through A through Z. There's a reason why they are one of the leading outreach ministries in the world right now. So go to Upward Sports, check them out. You can go to upward.org/church answers, find out all that you can about them. Mike, now here's what I want to do. we're talking about debt, and I want to
Yeah.
make sure that you've had the opportunity to cover whatever you want to talk about debt. But also, I want you to tell our audience when Church Growth Services goes into a church, there could be many reasons why they're calling on you as a generosity consultant. So, talk to me about some of those potential reasons.
Yeah, a lot of times, churches just need to refresh their space, like you were just talking about. Ministry changes, and the building that was built 30, 40, 50 years ago doesn't meet the needs today. Having a connection space, having that meeting room lobby area that many churches built many years ago didn't have at all.
Right.
And boy, those are real ministry needs. And sometimes the growth is happening, and they're out of space for children's ministry in different areas. And so they have a real financial need. But at the same time, if that debt has stayed too long, now they may limit what they can actually do because they allowed that debt to stay on that they took on previously. Debt can be good. It can accelerate ministry. It just shouldn't stay very long. And too many churches let it just linger.
I would assume that this is rare, but I'm not going to assume. I'm going to ask you directly. A campaign to reduce debt, is that common or is it rare?
It is not uncommon.
Okay.
And because, first of all, a campaign to reduce debt is still about vision, mission, and life change.
That's true.
If I can eliminate that debt, and now I have $30,000 a month to use towards ministry, boy, there's some new opportunities. Imagine what you can do with an additional $30,000 a month, from staffing to new ministries to new evangelism to supporting your missionaries. But secondly, sometimes you can also do some refurbishing at the
Right.
same time, and so
Okay.
you give the church a facelift, and at the same time you cut your debt in half, and you kill
Right.
two birds with one stone. That's very effective, and really helps. Some of those people that are like, we need to get out of debt, and that's their, that's where their heart is, and others that are kind of like, yeah, but we need to improve our space to better minister to new families coming, or to certain areas of ministry that we need to do. Combining the two actually is really very effective.
I like that. So the vision becomes the church is going to look better in terms of its facilities, and the debt is going to be lower. And man, I like that. And what a way to have a capital, or not a capital campaign. Well, I guess it would be for the renovation, but to have a campaign to raise funds. So how is that different than building a new building in terms of your part of it?
Yeah, a lot of it stays the same because you're not talking about debt, you're talking about vision. And you're still not having a financial transaction. It's still a spiritual journey. Boy, if you miss those two things, you've missed the campaign no matter what.
So that is the constant in all of these campaigns.
Those are foundational. Every campaign we do, it's about vision, mission, and life change, and it's about a spiritual journey for your congregation. And there's so many additional benefits that come out of that has nothing to do with raising money or building a building, in deepening the walk of your congregation, helping them grow in the grace of giving. It's why 70% of the churches we work with, their general fund grows even as they raise millions of dollars for renovations and lowering debt, because it's such a healthy journey.
Just out of curiosity, Mike, when did Church Growth Services start, and when did you start with Church Growth Services?
Yeah, we're kind of an old man in this space, Thom.
You are
65 plus years. We've been helping the Bride of Christ fund vision.
I know. How long have you been with the company? I know you're president now.
Well, that means I started when I was one. So
you've done a good job, Mike.
I was a prodigy, but no, I've been with them a little over 10 years. And having pastored and been through multiple campaigns, when I saw what Church Growth Services did, I just loved it, and built a relationship with the owner, Bill, and then eventually transitioned from my pastoral ministry into serving the Bride of Christ in this way, because they served with so much excellence and so much of a heart to serve the church. I just loved who they were and what they did. So I had to buy them.
Well, yeah, I guess I like the company so much about it. Uh, so let's go back to this topic of debt. There was a reason that you said, Thom, in this interview, I really want to focus on the debt situation. There have been some precipitating factors or just some churches that have come your way that has given you maybe a greater urgency or desire to talk about it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I've just talked to several churches here recently that they've let the debt go so long, it's become such a burden on their ministry and on their congregation and on their culture. And it has changed them, and it's preventing them from moving forward in the way that they want to move forward right now. By the same token, I have seen some churches that have leveraged debt to keep their construction costs down because of inflation, to expand ministries, provide more opportunities. There really is a positive and a negative in this thing. And if God's people in the church are wise, they can use it for great gain. But at the same time, if they're not wise in dealing with it, it really can become and culture is so important in churches today. And you start getting a poverty mindset because you've stayed in that debt so long, it really makes moving forward for kingdom purposes difficult.
When you go into a church, when your team goes to church, you are looking at many different facets. You're looking at debt, you're looking at the building, you're looking at the health of the church, you're looking at attendance, you're looking at the community. I could go on and on.
Yeah.
I think what our audience needs to know is Church Growth Services, yes, they are the premier fundraiser, generosity campaign for churches, but you look at it holistically. You go into all of those issues.
That's exactly right. Part of our role is to protect the church.
Mm-hmm.
And Thom, sometimes we go to a church and do a getting ready assessment, and we come back to the church and say, you're not ready to do this.
Mm.
You need to not. Now, that's not great for my business, but it's great for the kingdom.
Which will
Because
go great for your business in time.
yeah, because it is the bride of Christ, and we take that very seriously. I'm going to stand before God and be accountable for how I treated His bride, and I am so blessed to have a staff and a team of people who are there to help the church take more ground for the kingdom and proclaim Christ. And it's such a privilege to be a part of this team that I'm a part of.
Well, it's a privilege to have you as a ministry partner with Church Answers, and that's getting to be a longer relationship as well. So thank you for that relationship, Mike. We don't talk about any type of generosity organization except Church Growth Services because you're the best, and we want the best for our churches. Well, this time has gone already so quickly.
Hey, Thom, let me get a quick plug in because there's a good ebook that we're offering.
Yeah, I want to find out about the ebook. Tell me.
There's a good ebook on striking the balance between the benefits and downsides of debt that we're offering today. That's free, and for any pastor who's listening or church leader whose church is in debt and maybe they're concerned it's carrying on too long, we're even putting a link in there to do a free half-hour discovery call with me, and you can schedule it according to your time frame with that link. And I'd be happy to just explore if a debt campaign is maybe the right thing for you, or if it's not time yet and you guys are fine.
Well, I tell you this, some people are able to look at the show notes, but some people are out jogging while they listen to you talk. Is there any web address we can give them other than the show notes?
Yeah, www.churchgrowthservices.com. And there's just, they can schedule an appointment from there or download a whole lot of different ebooks from that website.
Good. I love that. And that includes that you'll do a 30-minute discovery call with them as well.
Absolutely.
Mike, thank you for being with us. These times always go so quickly when we're talking.
Yeah, great to be here. Great to talk to the body of Christ, and great to talk to you, Thom. Good to connect.
Well, thank you, Mike. And thank you, listeners and viewers. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Maybe even subscribe to our channel at YouTube. Those of you listen on your app, give us a rating and review there. And know that Mike Stadelmayer and Church Growth Services are a lot more than just a fundraising company. And I don't mean that any kind of pejorative sense, just fundraising. They understand holistically what's good for the church. And whatever your need your church may have, you call on them and call on Mike. And let me just thank again Wesley Biblical Seminary. I mentioned them at the beginning. New partner, incredible partner, and they are just they've been around for a while. I mean, they've been around 60 plus years, but they are really catching the eye of many people right now. You can get everything online if you want to. You can get a certificate, undergraduate, master's, graduate, but just look up Wesley Biblical or go WBS, Wesley Biblical Seminary .edu. The .edu is for education. We'll have a lot of new news coming out about them in the very near future. Hey, as always, you viewers and listeners, thank you for being a part of the Church Answers podcast. We're one of the fastest growing podcasts out there, and we'll continue to be. And it's because of you who take in the information we're sharing, and we'll continue to give you great information like Mike Stadelmayer and Church Growth Services and a lot more. So thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Church Answers podcast.